You know that feeling, right? You're driving through the mountains here in East Tennessee. You look up and you see that perfect house perched on a ridge, and you just think, wow, I want that. Well, today we're going to pull back the curtain on what it really takes to build that million-dollar view, and it all starts with a dream.
I mean, that really says it all, doesn't it? It's this incredible dream of peace, privacy, and just being connected to nature in a way that feels like it could fix everything. And that's the powerful, powerful allure we're diving into.
But, and this is a big but, here's where we have to get real. For every dream of peaceful mornings, there's a potential nightmare of financial stress. For every bit of privacy, there's a battle against some relentless opponents, like the land itself. And for that freedom, there's a whole maze of strict rules. This whole explainer is about closing that gap between the dream and the reality.
Okay, so our first battle? It starts before a single wall ever goes up. We're talking about the fight with the ground itself. Let's dig in, literally, to the challenges hiding just beneath the surface of that beautiful mountain lot. So, meet your first and maybe your biggest opponent. Expansive clay soil. Now, this is not your normal garden dirt. This stuff, it acts like a giant sponge. It soaks up water and swells. Then it dries out, shrinks, and cracks. So what do you think happens when you put that unstable mess on a steep slope? Well, what happens is a little something called soil creep. It's this constant slow-motion slide. As the soil swells and shrinks season after season, gravity is always pulling it downhill. And if your house is sitting on top of that, guess what? Your house is moving too. That's where you get those mysterious drywall cracks, windows that stick, and doors that just never seem to close right.
So, how in the world do you fight back? Well, not with a standard foundation, that's for sure. You need some serious hardware, like helical piers, which are basically giant screws drilled down to solid bedrock, or complex stepped foundations. The bottom line, to secure your home against this soil creep, you can easily be looking at a 30% increase in your foundation cost. Right out of the gate, that view just got a lot more expensive.
And water isn't just a problem in the soil, it's a huge problem on the soil. Think about it. On a hillside, every drop of rain that falls above you is heading straight for your foundation. This means you need a full-on defense system, massive French drains, engineered retaining walls, and serious waterproofing to fight what's called hydrostatic pressure. That's the sheer weight and force of all that waterlogged soil trying to push its way into your basement.
Now for a threat you can't see, can't smell, and can't taste: radon gas. It's just a fact of our geology here in East Tennessee. Our rock and soil naturally release this radioactive gas, and because mountain homes are often dug deep into the hillside, they can act like a perfect trap, letting that gas build up to dangerous levels inside.
And let me be clear, this is not a minor issue. We're talking about the #2 leading cause of lung cancer in the U.S. The good news is mitigation systems are really effective, but it's another absolutely non-negotiable cost and something you just cannot afford to overlook.
Okay, so you figured out how to win the battle with the earth. Now you have to face the man-made challenges. We're talking zoning laws, building codes, and the surprisingly tricky problem of just getting to your own front door.
You might think that being way out in the county means fewer rules. It's often the complete opposite. Many areas have what are called hillside protection regulations. These can flat out forbid you from building on slopes steeper than 30%. They can force you to set your house way back from the ridgeline, and get this, they can even limit how many trees you can cut down to get that perfect view you're paying for.
This might be the single most important question you ask through the whole process. And it's not about convenience, it is all about safety. Emergency vehicles are big, they're heavy, and they simply cannot climb steep grades. And that one fact has huge implications for your driveway. Most local codes will cap your driveway grade at about 15, maybe 20%. So if your lot is steeper than that, the only way to make it work is to build switchbacks. You know, those long, winding zigzags? This makes your driveway way longer, way more expensive, and it just eats up a huge chunk of your land. And look at this. The difference in utilities is just stark. In the city, you just call the utility company and hook up. On the mountain, you're basically your own utility provider. You're going to need a well, and that could mean drilling hundreds of feet through solid rock. And for waste, you'll need a septic system. On rocky, clay soil, that often means a specialized and way more expensive engineered system that can cost 3 times as much as a standard one. So, the house is built. You've moved in. You're done, right? Haha, not even close. Now it's time to talk about what I like to call the alpine tax. All those ongoing, everyday costs that just come with the territory of living on top of a mountain.
First up on the tax bill, your insurance. A house on a remote ridge is considered much higher risk. It's farther from a fire hydrant, which is a big one. It's also way more exposed to high winds and hail. The result? Your homeowner's insurance premium could easily be double what you'd pay for the exact same house down in the city.
You know that beautiful snow-covered postcard view? It looks a whole lot different when you're trying to get to work on a Tuesday morning. The county plows? They usually don't touch private mountain roads. That means a four-wheel drive vehicle becomes a necessity, and you and your neighbors better have a solid road maintenance agreement to pay for plowing. And trust me, nothing tests a friendship like a snowplow bill.
You know, living in nature means you're really living in nature. Woodpeckers and carpenter bees think your beautiful wood siding is just a new tree. Every fall, swarms of ladybugs and stink bugs are going to try to move in with you for the winter. Plus, the sun's UV rays are much harsher at higher elevations, which means your paint and stain will fade way faster. It's a constant battle to keep your home's exterior looking good.
Now, in today's world, this one is huge. If you work from home, or even if you just want to stream a movie, you cannot take good internet for granted. High-speed fiber might not reach your lot. You could be stuck with slower DSL or a satellite service that cuts out every time a storm rolls through. You have to verify service to the specific address before you buy.
When big storms hit, those remote power lines are always the first to go down and usually the last to get repaired. That makes a whole home generator, one that can power your well pump and your heat, an absolute necessity. It's not a luxury item, it's a lifeline. It's just another major expense you have to budget for.
So after all that, what's the verdict? We've talked about the battles with gravity, the local rulebook, and those hidden taxes. The goal here isn't to scare you away from that dream. It's to empower you so you can make it a reality the right way. You know, it really all comes down to these two paths. The difference between a true dream home and a never-ending money pit. It's not luck. It's competence, it's meticulous planning, and it's having a realistic budget that actually accounts for all of these hidden challenges we've talked about. And that leads to maybe the single most important point of this whole thing. You can't just hire any builder. You need a specialized team. You need an engineer who actually respects the soil, a builder who truly understands things like hydrostatic pressure, and a crew that knows the local hillside codes inside and out.
So we'll end with this question. That $1 million view, it is absolutely achievable. And for so many people, it is worth every single challenge. But now that you've seen the hidden realities that lie just beneath the surface, you can ask the right questions. Is your dream truly built on solid ground?